Another day, another slew of album recommendations. Hey friends, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Anna. I just discovered how to use my ring light for the first time correctly. So here's to being a lifelong learner. Yes, so spring is over. It is like officially summer. It's probably been summer for weeks. It has been summer for weeks. Um, but I am a completionist and I've done seasonal album recommendations and I didn't do spring, and my spring was very chaotic and emotional for good reason. So I'm doing a spring wrap up because, I can't really say it's spring still, but I can do a wrap up of what I was listening to the most and appreciating this past spring, as well as other springs from years past and many, many springs to come because I I love albums and I stick with albums for a lifetime generally. So, here we go. Um First of all, I just want to shout out I'm wearing double Wallows Tell Me That It's Over merch. This hat and the shirt. And everyone thinks Cole is Frodo Baggins. But anyway, without further ado, let's start with Wallows. So, Wallows has an EP called Spring. I was blasting that EP this spring. I found it last year. I finally got myself a physical copy because I love having CDs, and I was just blasting it start to finish, of course. It's indie rock, for those of you who don't know. It's a little bit more classic rock in style. It's some of their first music they made, so a lot more like Beatles-esque, I would say. Um, which, especially when Braden is leading songs, it tends to be more Beatles-esque, and that's probably why I'm partial to him leading the songs because I also love the Beatles. This EP is um, it's it's like the right amount of angsty with the right amount of guitar riffs, and that's basically why I love rock music as a whole. But make it spring, but make it like, hopeful, a little bit lovey-dovey, a little bit hopeful in that way, despite cutting through that angst with some emotional hope as well. And yeah, it's one of those. I've listened to it so many times. It's really hard to explain the EP other than if you like rock, if you like indie rock, it's pretty standard. There's not really anything you wouldn't like about it. So check it out. I wanted to have something physical to show you, and I know you already know from the thumbnail, so I'm just going to show you now. T for the Tillerman by Cat Stevens. Oh, there's the ring light. There she is. Um, my mom got me into Cat Stevens. My favorite movie is also Harold and Maude, so some of those songs are on here. I didn't realize he has like a Harold and Maude specific album, otherwise I would have preferred having that copy. But this one has Where Do the Children Play, and it has Miles from Nowhere, which are both from the movie, and On the Road to Find Out, and T for the Tillerman. So it has four of the songs, and then of course it has like Father and Son, which is probably his most famous song, and Wild World. Just so many fantastic songs on here. This is pure 70s music, and Cat Stevens is very like just him and a guitar a lot, a little bit of piano to add some melodrama in there, and he's very intergenerational, not just because he's literally been around that long musically, but also it's standard enough sounds that like anyone could enjoy the musicality, I would say. Um, he he has a lot of like um, life lessons out of his songs, and it's no secret that I love literature, so I'm very much a lyrics person more than a music person. Um, Not that I don't love a good music and production moment. I feel like that's why I love 21 Pilots and King's Kaleidoscope, my two favorite bands, because they're so juicy with the way they produce songs. But sometimes you just need a simple little Cat Stevens song to really cut to your heart. And this album does a really good job of that. Nuggets here. Anytime I do something new, like have this light in front of me, she's like, "What is going on?" And I need to investigate. So this is new for both of us, and she would like to be here with the microphone. Cats are so observant. They know when something's different. She's like, "You don't normally have that on." Next, I did just mention King's Kaleidoscope. They are one of my favorite bands. I feel like 21 Pilots has to be my favorite band, but like also if I could have two bands that I love equally, it's King's Kaleidoscope, and Wallows is a very um, very near second behind both of them. But I think King's Kaleidoscope and 21 Pilots are very similar in style. I've probably said this before. In the way that they produce things, the way that they like switch up songs as the songs are built, and like no two choruses or verses are inherently the same, even musically. That's just something that like really gets all my little brain parts firing and excited. So it's no secret that I love both of their music. But specifically this spring, I got to go see King's Kaleidoscope live for the second time in my life. The first time where I really, really knew their discography, so it was a lot more fun. I could actually sing along. And the best part was every song they performed off their album Zeal, and so I want to highlight Zeal today. They are a very explicit Christian worship band, and what I love about them is it is the closest preview to heaven I've ever musically felt in the music world. It is so beautiful. They have such a slew of different instruments, from strings to brass to everything in between, and um, everyone in the band is so different culturally, like what human diversity is supposed to be in a band. It's just the most beautiful thing in the world. I love seeing them perform. They're always reimagining and recreating, and um, anyway, I love this album, and they have what's called the Rush Part 1, 2, and 3 throughout the album. Man, the way they articulate things spiritually in a simple yet profound way never ceases to amaze me. Oxygen is one of, if not my favorite King's Kaleidoscope song. It was the end to the concert I saw, and it was so beautiful to just see the the diversity of their production and their lyricism, and to end the concert sampling what everyone who's ever been in a church knows, which is Jesus loves me, this I know. And so I just love that they end that song with that very simple but true spiritual bow, and it never ceases to feel powerful because sometimes the coolest things are just about like returning to the roots of simplicity, of like why something even spiritually exists to begin with. You know, even the joy of music can come from like a tiny little kid's rhyme like that most of us sang when we were kids. And so it just brings back that simplicity of like why we even love music in the first place, is we have these little things as kids that get stuck in our heads that our parents tell us, and then from there we just get to discover the wide world of music. And I love how they pay homage to that in the album. So cool. Zeal has a lot to do with working through a very difficult season. I forget exactly when it came out, but for those who don't know, King's Kaleidoscope came out of Mars Hill Church that has since collapsed. They never meant to be like Mars Hill only, like they very much wanted to be their own band. And so it's so cool to see that despite church corruption, they were able to do something wonderful that has since flourished nationally and internationally, and they're still touring today. And this album very much was a lot of like tension and I believe processing as they worked through that fallout of the church corruption. And it's a really, really good album. If you or anyone you love has been through any sort of church hurt or church corruption, I would highly recommend that you check out this album. I think it can be very healing, and not enough Christians talk about actually serving and catering to the people who have been through church hurt or ex-churched people, and I think that's really important. So check out Zeal, and you might find yourself zealous about it. Of course, I had to say that. I also want to highlight a couple new albums this year because, of course, I'm a One Direction fangirl through and through. So, my man Louis Tomlinson, I've been listening to his album How Did I Get Here nonstop. This has definitely been my go-to. Something really beautiful that I just wanted to highlight personally is because my grandfather passed away this spring. There's a part in his song "Lucid" near the end of the album where there's this clock in the background, and the clock sounds a lot like my grandparents' clock in their house. So that was really special to me, and something I knew was going to be special to me as a little like memento. And I was correct. After my grandpa passed, this song has been very much a little piece of that comfort that my grandpa always carried with him, and in the warmth of his voice, and the joy of his sweet tooth, and his little smirk when he would tell a good joke. So it's little moments like that that make music so special, where we can return to things that we don't physically have with us any longer, and people that we love who are no longer with us, but that still live on through all these little moments that we remember and can even return to in a song like that. So Louis' album is very lighthearted. He's been through a lot of grief in his life, and you know, continues to process and pay homage to Liam Payne through dark to light. But also, it's just a lot of fun, a lot of that joy of the warmth, both in spring and summer. And so, of course, you can listen to it any time of year, especially if you live in a warm climate, which I do not. But there's just there's a lot of coziness in this album. So enjoy. And then, of course, the more popular one that most everyone I'm sure has been listening to is Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally by Harry Styles. Um, I did think his track about Liam, which something about colors, is it Paint by Numbers, right? I think that's the track name. Is the penultimate track on the album in any case, and it's like a tiny little homage to Liam. But I actually thought that track reminded me the most of Cat Stevens. Now that I've already talked about him, so just wanted to shout out that track. Um, Harry, of course, is bringing back some disco in his pop here, and it's a lot of fun. It honestly, this album had to grow on me. At first, I was like, this feels more mellow as a whole compared to his previous albums, but the more I've sat with it, it's really grown on me. Um, I still feel like Harry's House was like the most him as an album, and I feel like in general it'll probably be pretty hard for him to top that in terms of um, just bottling himself in music. I feel like that album is so special in doing that, but I also um, I love American Girls. I'm glad that one blew up. Taste Back is absolutely my favorite track now. That one also had to grow on me, but that one is very Wallows-esque, with a little bit of guitar riff, and yeah, that one feels a lot more indie rock musically. So it's like some pop here, some rock here, some disco throughout, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I feel like I don't have to say much about it though, because it's definitely the most popular album. Um, there's a couple singles that I did want to also point out as blossoming in the springtime for me. The first one is called Eyes on Him by Strings and Heart. This is another worship specific song. It's a very like mellow indie rock, and I'm trying to get into more like little spiritual gems here and there that are in a variety of genres and not just like CCM 4 chord progressions, you know. So it's been really cool to find my actual music niches, but then make it worship at the same time. And this song is very much like the feeling of flowers growing, but then also just it's just like pure joy in a song. And so that this one I was very fortunate to find as soon as it came out in the beginning of spring, and it was just so fun to listen to throughout the season. And then the other one, similar to Memories of My Grandpa, I of course wanted to shout out 21 Pilots song Cottonwood. This was about Tyler's grandfather who passed. And at first I was hesitant to listen to it because I thought it would be like super upsetting, and it wasn't at all. It was actually very cathartic. I find that Cottonwood is very, very precise for grief with especially a grandfather. There's a lot to do with pain in it and loss, but there's also a lot to do with nostalgia. And I'm really realizing, because I haven't had too deep of a loss in a handful of years, that grief does have a lot to do with nostalgia as well. So I really like that this song is like bringing the best of the pain and the like bittersweetness of also like spiritually feeling like my grandpa is in a better place, but then also just having a lot of nostalgia and memories of just wanting to dip into things I've maybe grown distant from that still remind me of my grandpa. And it's just been cool to pull out those like younger versions of myself to continue to honor my grandpa, as well as just honoring him in my present with still trying to put words together to figure out a poem for him, which I definitely want to do, but just remembering the snippets of characteristics and hobbies and things that made my grandpa who he specifically was and why I loved him so much. And so far, I've just tried to collage some of those thoughts together, and eventually it will become more of a artistic full piece. But yeah, this song has been a wonderful way to just continue to honor how much I loved my grandpa in even just the amount of pain that can pass through, which is very necessary when you love someone so much. Wow, guys, I went through this fast. I actually only have one more. I'm not used to making shorter videos, but I think you guys probably prefer them. I like to take my time. I have to rush doing everything in my life. If I'm doing a hobby, I'm taking my time. Anyway, the album I've been listening to the most lately, which could maybe technically be considered summer now, but I'm counting it for spring reflections, is Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party by Hayley Williams. I have always loved Hayley Williams as just like a personal icon. I feel like she's the reason I love the hairstyles I do, a lot of the things that I do. I'm also a petite woman, so she's just one of my musical icons. um, but I've been feeling angsty this spring and summer as well, and this album is like perfect for that. I've been playing Whim so much lately. She really goes through the gamut of emotions on this album, but also I'm like convinced we've had very similar, if not the exact same life experiences, because there's brotherly hate, and I'm in a season where I'm working through some trauma and forgiveness. There is Parachute. Parachute. I can't even explain that one other than gets me right in the heart. Um, and so, yeah, this is my like spring into summer and gonna continue to be my summer album, as well as Olivia Rodrigo's new album. These are my angsty girls for the summer. I am always one to have uh, a glum summer. Also, shout out to Haley for glum, because all those one word songs are like my songs on this album. Love Disappearing Man. I was last year when I first listened to it, I really got into Disappearing Man and I really got into Love Me Different, but now I'm like getting into every single one of the songs. Discovery Channel is really not my thing. I really can't stand that song, just, content wise, conviction wise, is just not my thing. If it's your thing, great, more plays for you. But yeah, I really love the contemplative reflections that she has throughout, and Hard is definitely a biography of myself as well. She really knows how to speak for women who desire to be more feminine but are simultaneously scared to be because of how they've been hurt before. So um yeah, I think we've had very similar experiences and have had similar wounds that we have to keep healing. And so I look forward to continuing to put Haley in my ears as I continue to have a summer where I'm healing a lot, and hopefully God will continue to burn a lot of impurities out of me, because he's really good at refinement. So that is what I'm looking forward to this summer. Let me know if you've listened to any of these, if you love any of these albums yourself, what kind of songs you felt were memorable off of these albums. If there was anything on them or them as a whole that you didn't like, and why. I'm always curious why people don't like things. And it's cool to have conversations where you're not just like, well, it was stupid, but like you can actually have substantive conversations. So please, I would prefer substantive conversation. But yeah, leave your thoughts below, and what you're gonna be playing the most in the summertime. Let me know, but also let me know like for next spring, things that I should add to my spring list. I have seasonal playlists that I'm constantly deleting things off of every year and adding things onto. So I love a long playlist that's like hours and hours, because I spend a lot of time just playing the seasonal playlist over and over in the car for the entire season. So would love to hear what you're listening to. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well and continue to take care of yourself. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, friends.